Last Sunday in Week 1 of the NRL Final Series for 2025, the Canberra Raiders hosted the Brisbane Broncos in Canberra. Come the 52nd minute, 2 players are sin-binned. And the reason for this, while not being stated outright by referee Ashley Klein, is NRL refereeing cowardice. I'm not calling Ashley Klein a coward for this decision, even though it seems to have been his idea in the moment, because this isn't an individual decision, but rather one that reflects a wider refereeing philosophy that the NRL has taken up in recent times. One that is very potentially destructive in the fairness and sanctity of the NRL competition. Let's look at the incident. After the play goes wrong for the Broncos attacking the Canberra defensive line, Hudson Young jumps out and gets into the face of Reece Walsh, sledging him for the mistake. Reece Walsh, being both hot-headed and pissed off at the misplay, is set off by this and launches his head at Hudson, kinda constituting a headbutt. There's not much in it, play on is what we all wish the call was. But this, and acts like this, since Paul Gallen massacred our game over a decade ago, is always a sin-binnable offense. It's a strike, and a strike of any variety, even slapping sometimes, are sin bins. After the melee, it's clear to all that Walsh is getting binned, and has likely cost his team any hope of making a comeback and advancing straight to that preliminary final. But before that happens, something impossible happens. Hudson Young is sent to the sin bin first for instigating, for an act that's seen multiple times every game and is never even questioned. It seems a truly incomprehensible decision. The Broncos even got the penalty afterwards. This seemed like the refereeing blunder of a lifetime at first glance, a career killer almost. But it's not. It's since come out that the only part of the decision that Ashley Klein got wrong, according to his bosses, was that Canberra should have gotten the penalty. But I knew a few seconds after it happened that he wasn't going to get in any trouble for this. Nor should he really, because this decision and decisions like this are core to the current cowardly NRL refereeing philosophy, and are to be expected. You see, in 2021 there was a crackdown. Magic Round that year was mired in controversy. The Roosters had had a sook the week before, and because of an incident between Drew Hutchinson and Dylan Brown, the referees decided that they were going to watch the games that weekend with a magnifying glass looking for any sort of dangerous contact, and sin bin and send off players who infringed. And that they did. It was a disaster, we all still have nightmares about it. I was in the stands, it was crazy. And the fallout of all of this, and that philosophy, lasted a year or two, until it changed. See, what was happening is people were complaining that these refereeing decisions were deciding and costing teams games. A team with a player sent off or sin-binned or multiple players sin-binned usually lose to a full-strength team. The referees and their philosophies are deciding games. It's unfair, was the general sentiment. So, like is often the case with the current NRL administration, they overcorrected and basically 180'd their philosophy, and that's where we are now. They let more things go, and they very much try to avoid unfair outcomes because of refereeing decisions. And they try to not have refereeing decisions be the reason for the result of the game. That's why Hudson Young was sent to the sin bin, to attempt to take away the disadvantage from the Broncos, so the decision to bin Walsh, and only bin Walsh, didn't decide the game. So the game would be fairer. This is cowardice. Reece Walsh fucked up. The Broncos should have been at a disadvantage because of it. The NRL's attempt to not decide things and to keep things even and fair ends up resulting in an unfair decision here. It's the referees trying to control the game, trying to make it more even, trying to make it a better product, when that is not and can't be their jobs if the game is going to have any integrity. You can't try and fix the game through the referees. And I'm not saying they're trying to fix it for a certain team to win, but rather for the game to be more even, and in that way more exciting and definitive. This destroys the sanctity of the game. Obviously, one incident isn't reflective of a philosophy on its own, but things like this have happened a lot recently. A similar thing happened in a Dolphins-Roosters game earlier in the year. There was a melee in the 15th minute spurred on by Spencer Leniu and carried on by Nafahu White with help from Francis Molo. Really, only Spencer needed to be sin-binned. But if they really wanted to sin-bin the aggressors in the would-be melee, the 3 of them should have been binned. But somehow 4 people got binned because Ablix Trois also got sent to the sin bin for really doing nothing. So it could be 2 people from each team, and the game would be more even. That's fair, right? It isn't. Sometimes teams deserve the disadvantage. You also kinda saw this philosophy with how Origin 2 was refereed this year, where Queensland, after suffering a terrible penalty count in Origin 1 and losing the game handsomely, were granted an insane penalty count for Origin 2, leading to them leveling the series and a big money decider. The Origin series wasn't decided off refereeing decisions, right? Look at the uncontroversial Game 3. Origin this year kind of sucked as a result of this. We got 2 fake games and a boring decider. This is a destructive philosophy. Now, I'm not all doom and gloom about this, nor am I arrogant enough to think I'm the only one recognizing or realizing this problem. It's like I said earlier, when traction starts to build criticizing this refereeing philosophy, we'll probably overcorrect into a different direction. This is an NRL administration that, for better and for worse, is unafraid of changing things and changing things quickly. But as we stand right now, and likely for the rest of the final series, this will be the refereeing philosophy. And I don't think we've seen the last controversy.